Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to this Just Release session. During this session, I'm going to give you an insight into the different body parts where we can use the body working balls. We've got two options, either a 400 gram or a 250 gram. The difference being how much resistance each will execute through the body when you're doing the body working fascial release. I would recommend having both balls where possible because some areas may be more sensitive than others, whether that's because you are more sensitive via previous injuries or the nature of the work that you do, or other areas are more delicate, as you'll see by nature as we go along. Please note, if we're doing a pure release session, which I very rarely do on its own in my class, maybe I save it for Christmas times or Easter breaks, you can feel very, very sleepy. So be careful if you've got to go and drive anywhere. It can also be very emotional in terms of releasing, because remember, whatever manifests in the body physically has often come from the mind and that mental effect. So when we release, we're tapping into our parasympathetic nervous system, and it's that relax, that rest and digest. So it's of most importance that you stay hydrated throughout this session. We're going to begin with a 250 gram ball for myself, because we are starting on a pelvic floor release. Now bear in mind, this is just an insight, as I mentioned. If you would like to delve further into this, I will do other videos where you can follow this up with a strength work and then into your length work once you've rolled. You can also test your areas. So there's other videos with that on as well to see how much you've improved when you've actually done your roll through the body working balls to have that fascial release impact. Pelvic floor. We're going to begin having those points of contact through the sitting bones and the tailbone. Feel free to keep the knees bent. If you're able to take a straight leg, then I would advise a straight leg, providing you're not slouching back. And just get used to moulding into the ball. You may well need cushions or bolsters if the hands don't touch the floor. And I think this is a lovely position to sit in if you haven't got any hip or knee aggravations. You're more than welcome to use the 400 gram ball, but those with any pelvic floor dysfunctions or conditions, I would advise staying with the 250 gram for now at least. So you would stay here for 2 minutes to provide that fascial release effect, as that's what science shows. We take it from a high gradient of pressure to low to disperse any of that tightness around that pelvic region. And you'll actually feel pretty amazing when you come off of those balls, like you're melting into that ground and you could just sink, and we have more of a connection. Now we will go on to our glutes. So maximus, minimus, medius, and also the piriformis. So from here, we're on to our right bottom cheek only. I'm going to start on my left. So from here onto the sitting bone, feet into a hip width position. We're going to inhale, exhale as you roll, as if the bottom cheek is going to kiss the floor. Roll it back. So we will do another one here. Now you're more than welcome to continue with 8 to 12 reps on these lines. This is just a taster, remember. Then we can bring the legs. If you're on the right, take them right. If you're on the left, come with me to the left. And we'll roll on a slight diagonal to hit the piriformis. If you would like, stack the feet. So we're going to go into that longitudinal line. Feel free to bring in a circle on the ball. And we'll circle the other way. From here, we're going to go into the side of the bottom, the medius and the minimus. So we're going to turn and we're going to lengthen. Underneath leg, top leg comes in front. Make sure you're right on the bottom. So at the side there, and we can roll longitudinal, or we could bring in a back and forward rocking action. There's obviously the option on any of these to pause and hold onto that area. And we can do that for up to 120 seconds on these body parts that we're now working with. From this one, you would obviously come off and repeat that on the opposite side. We're going to take it into the hamstrings. So the muscles at the back of the thigh. We're going to start on the sitting bone, lengthening the ball leg. If you've got it on the right, stay on the right, and you're going to circle. And we'll circle 4 the other way, because the hamstrings start right into the back line of your bottom. So then we'll roll it off and we will be at the crease of the bottom, and we can go longitudinal. We just move it down in those increments. So if you were going to do a full session, I'd go for 8 to 12 reps as you go. Again, if you didn't want to hold the body weight, press, it was aggravating the wrists, and roll. And we take it down again. We never roll over with the joint, so therefore we'll not go onto the back of the knee. But this might be a nice area where you circle just above as it fits the structure. So that's the main line of the hamstring. You would obviously repeat all that by going back to the crease and starting it to the outer edge of your hamstring. So you're going to hit that muscle and you'll just roll it down as we've just done, piece by piece, for the outer side. And then we'll come to the inner side muscle of the hamstring, and it starts in towards the thigh, and you'll roll exactly the same line, longitudinal. When you find an area of tension, either pause it and hold for a little press, or you can go across, whatever works. If you want to apply that increased pressure, that's absolutely fine. And we remember never to go over a joint. We obviously repeat on the opposite side. From your hamstrings, we're going to go into the erector spinae muscle, muscles either side of that spine. So we have options as well, 3 lines to cover. So we'll start whichever way you prefer. I'm going left, just above this bony prominence, and it's going to sit snugged close to that spine line. From here, your bottom will come off the floor slightly and we will roll. So we keep this direction longitudinal along the side of our spine. Use your breath. It's of most importance as we do this. And remember, you can do many more repetitions than I'm doing. This is to just give you a little idea what you can do with those body working balls. And when you get to the shoulder, you can circle. And then we continue. We're going to do that on the opposite side. So you would then roll the side you haven't. And we also would like to go down the center of our spine once we've done the opposing side. So from here, just above that triangular bone, and we roll. Breathing out, breathing in. And this is going to help to decompress the spine, piece by piece. And we come up carefully. Now we've done that erector spinae line, we are going to take it into the head and neck region. So I'm going to switch now the 250 gram ball for a 400 gram ball. So we're going to place the ball on these 2 bony prominences, those occiput bones here. So we're not blocking the neck joint, and we're going to come onto our back, and you're going to lightly press. So there's space here, just make sure you've got space, that you're not down here jamming the neck. Lightly press back, eye gaze to the sky, so you've got a real good connection. Inhale as you turn right, exhale center. So we could do 8 reps to the one side, and then we're going to do another 8 to the side. Be careful if you've got hair clips, ponytails in, it doesn't affect your range of movement. And then we're going to go all the way through, right to left. Sometimes the ball can move in this exercise, just don't be afraid to bring it back into position. But that is such a nice massage for either side here, into the neck, and where that trapezius muscle inserts. So in effect, you'll be lengthening that entire structure onto the back line. From this position, we're going to go into the thighs, so the quadriceps. Now I would definitely, if you haven't already, use a 400-gram ball for this, because it's another big muscle group. I mean, you could use the 400-gram ball for your hamstrings as well if you wanted to, and the glutes if you've got no sensitivity issues, again with the lower back or pelvic floor. So we're going to start with the ball just below this bony prominence here. So you did a little bend to check, and breathe in, breathe out as you press down. You can take your opposite leg out to the side, and then we're going to go longitudinal. So we're going in a sense of forward and backward direction, and we travel. And you continue that. You might be, you get to a place of tension, you think, I'm going to go right to left. So this is the other way you can travel over the ball, not just longitudinal, we can cross fibre it. When you get to the middle of the quad, there or thereabouts, pause, bend, inhale, exhale, straighten. So you could do again 8 reps, lengthening, then continue on your journey down your thigh muscle. Again, we do not go over the knee joint. So just before the knee, you might want to circle and change the direction. Release. You would obviously need to do this on the opposite side, so we're even. We're going to take it into the psoas muscle. This is a real deep line. So if you find your bony prominence and come inward, you have to press quite significantly because it is deep set. You'll feel that little ridge. From there, so it's a little portion here, we're going to take the ball, lay down on your tummy. This time I'd advise both legs straight. Again, any sensitivity issues, you may want a 250-gram ball. Lengthen your arm, lengthen your leg, rest your head. From this position, you could add in a little rock, forward and back, or right to left if you wanted to trigger point. If you can withstand it, you may want to take your head to the floor and just take an arm. Inhale, exhale. A leg on its own, inhale, exhale. Arm and leg together. So that would be your psoas line. Make sure we do the opposite side. From the psoas, let's go to the front line here, the abdominals, that are, rectus abdominis. Now with this one, find the triangle bone, the pubic bone. We're going to start on it and we're going to roll off to the left or the right, whichever one you'd like to start on. So we pause, we roll off, and then choose if you'd like to bend the leg or keep it straight, and we roll forward and back. Now this is a mega sensitive area for some people, so you may well want the 250-gram ball on this area. And we keep traveling. There's going to be a natural point where you can no longer go because of the ribs. Please be aware this needs to stay in, not coming out to the side of the ribs, especially where you've got that floating rib. You might just need to take a moment and sit back. If that was too much for you, you can transition to the other ball, especially when we come to do the middle line direct. So you might going to do your other side first before you come into the front line. So we're going to start directly on that triangular bone and then above when we begin to roll. So onto the line and then we're going to roll. Both legs are straight for this. So it might well be that you just need to pause if it was too much, because this can make people feel sick. And we have got lots of veins and vessels in this front line. So if you're getting a throbbing or pulsating effect doing this, that is natural. Don't do this one obviously too close to any lunch, breakfast, dinner times, etc. And it goes as high as that xiphoid process, the little triangular bone, heading towards that sternum line, and it can't go any further. You can pause it here and it might be a nice circular action you do, and the other way at the highest point. So I'm just emphasising the circle is at the highest point at the moment. If you'd like to do a fuller circle, then you bring it back to the pubic bone line, and we're going to go across to the left hip, up the left, back round. So you're going to go in a clockwise direction to go with those colon lines, and this will aid digestion and it's great for detoxifying purposes. Counteract that with your child's pose position. And from here, we're going to move on to our inner thigh line, our adductors. Again, choose, it can be a sensitive area for some. So we are going to start with the ball quite close into the inner thigh line. From here, you're going to go longitudinal, and then we take it down. You're going to do 8 to 12 reps. I'm just showing you what these body working balls are capable of, or what you're capable of. And it might be that you want to press and rock it forward and back. When you get about 3/4 or past the halfway mark, pause it and lengthen. So you can do up to 8 lengthens. And I think it's very nice on this to circle just before you get right into the nitty gritty of the knee joint, which you want to avoid. You can go both ways. As ever, you've got to do both sides. So that's your adductors. IT band, iliotibial band. So that's coming down the side. It'll pick up the abductor line, it can't not. You're going to start off of your hip socket or pocket, because you've already done this area when we did medius minimus at the side earlier. So come in onto your side, pause. You might just want to stay here. Now, be mindful with this. If you've got a sensitive area and you think, do you know what, I've just gone into that and it's not suiting me, then you change the ball, because this can be ultra sensitive and we don't want to do damage. We travel, if you'd like, to straighten the leg in a longitudinal line. This is why these balls are fantastic in comparison to a foam roller, which can be quite harsh. And if they're not the ones that have got a give in, they can cause damage on these areas and ultimately lead to bruising. This also allows you to work into your tissues as these balls mould. So that's another benefit. Even if you've got a softer roller, this will give 10 times in comparison, enable you to get more from it. So we're just going forwards and back. And again, we're not going over the knee. So take it to an area that's suitable, whether it's the rolling longitudinal for your area, whether you go forward and back, which will be a little bit more tender, and then come off. So you need to do the other side. In terms of what we're looking for, we're looking to work on a scale of 7 to 8 out of 10 in terms of a pain threshold, or as I prefer to say, discomfort. Now, take it towards your obliques. It needs to be at the lowest point of the fixed rib, so make sure it's not on a floating line, because you don't want to cause damage and crack a rib. So we're going to pause. From here, you're going to take a little roll longitudinal. Now, only want this to be a 7 or 8 out of 10. 10, I'll be peeling you off the ceiling. 1, you don't feel anything. Then we travel, and it's heading up towards the armpit line, just shy of the armpit line. And notice how I've selected the 250-gram ball for this. And if in doubt, I would go with the lighter one because there's less damage you can do with the resistance if you do accidentally come off of that and go towards a floating rib lower down. And I probably would stay in that line rather than risking going forward or back on that. Now from here, you're going to transition, if you wanted to, for the lats to the 400. You may decide to stay with the other. So from here, you do the other side first, remember. You're going to bring it just below the armpit and pause. Okay, relax the head and neck if that's comfortable. Longitudinal roll. We can pause it. You can do a little rock here. Don't roll forward, don't roll back. And if you would like to, you then breathe in to breathe out, press, and we turn. So if you turn here, you'll just ask a little more, add a little bit more depth. We're going underneath the armpit now, because this is where your lats insert, hold. You can go longitudinal, as you know. You can take it to a forward and back rock, or fingertips to temple. Breathe in, exhale as you touch down, inhale as you open. Again, you'd continue with this for your 8 to 12 reps or however many you're opting to do. Ensure whatever reps you do on the one side, you match it up on the opposite side. From here, we're moving on to the pectoral line, the chest line. This male or female does not want to sit on the breast tissue. It needs to be above. If you're unsure, then I would definitely change this for the 250-gram ball because of the areas of sensitivity. Now it's going to start here. So when we do this, it's below the collarbone but above the breast tissue. Everybody's space will be different, obviously. That goes without saying. Second option to move it to is here into the groove where they insert the chest muscles, and then we can continue the line down into our bicep if we wish. So we're going to start on our tummy. Bring the ball into its space. You might just want to hold it to begin and rest your head on your hand. Use your breath. Your breath is key on this. Lengthen your arm, longitudinal. Pause. You're then going to turn the hand. This will hit more into the pectoralis minor, so your other muscle in your chest. So that is something else you can add in. We're also going to take it into the groove as I suggested. Hold. And then again, you can go longitudinal on your lines. Really press into the ball to have that profound effect. We can hold. Palm can come down. We can shoulder shrug. Breathe out, breathe in. From here, you're then going to take it down into the bicep line. So we can roll into the biceps. And we stay on that longitudinal line. Now we wouldn't go over the elbow. We would just keep it off of our joint. You might want to go forward and back to get into that region as we go. And then we come back into a seated position. I would always counteract if you've been on your tummy, just taking it back into a seated position. So you're here. And then finally from this position, again, choose which ball is going to suit you. We're going to bring it onto the shoulder line. So you'll be on the back, or you can start in a semi-seated position here. So whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then you're going to turn and roll. So the hands can be on the floor and you can bring it to balance and bring it forward. So you're starting towards the head of the tricep line, if you like. So here, touch as you go. If the legs want to roll with you on this, that's fine. You might want to keep the hand down for support, whatever works for you. Be careful of your wrists. You might want to come up as you then transition to do your roll into your triceps. You could do it with your head and neck down if you feel you get enough from it. Personally, I would stay up as you do this line, and then you can roll it forward, you can roll it back. And then we come back into a seated position. You obviously need to do the other side. So that is a little snapshot of using the body working balls in a combination of both the 250 gram for more sensitive areas, and as a recap, that could be your pelvic floor, it could be your abdominal line, the psoas, the IT band, potentially the chest line as well. The 400 grams you might want to use more for your thighs, the bottom, even the back of the thighs, you could do that with as well. So choose it for your structure. Make sure you stay hydrated. Be careful that you're not planning to go out and do an extravagant event or a high intensity session having rolled the whole body if you're doing just release work. And above all, listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, it's probably not. Therefore, you adapt it or you stop the exercise.